Hello, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm making a Big Mac Chaffle. My husband Paul eats keto diet, and one of the things that he's always missed has been the bread. And we've tried lots of different kinds of the bread until we found Chaffles, and Chaffles really do take the place of bread for him. And he enjoys the flavor. He doesn't miss it so much when we can use those. They're also very easy to make, and I can make them fresh every day. One of the delightful things that you can make with it is you can do a copycat of a Big Mac. And so I'm going to start off. There's lots of recipes for it on the internet, and you can they're mostly pretty much all the same. Mix up your favorite version of the sauce, which I'm doing with a couple of tablespoons of mayonnaise, real mayonnaise. I've got Hellmann's right now because that was what was on sale the last time, but we like Blue Plate and we love Duke's. Whichever one is fine. I'm using, I make my own ketchup, and I have a video of how to make a little small batch of ketchup in a little bitty crock pot. And this works really well. It makes 2 little jars, and that way I just make a fresh batch when we need it. And that way it's sugar free. Paul doesn't have to worry about getting any sugar. I haven't done a video since Paul got sick again. Those who've been watching a while, my sweetheart has been pretty seriously disabled for a long time, but he could still walk short distances with the walker, and you know, so he could go around here in the house with a walker. But he had another stroke before Christmas, and is still recovering from that. We still have therapists coming in, 2 different therapists coming in twice a week, and the nurses are still coming in because in the process of that he also developed diabetes, which he had not had before. And when we went to the hospital, to the ER with the stroke, we discovered his sugar was way out of line. He had just seen his doctor and had his regular fasting blood tests 2 months earlier, and everything was fine. So we don't know how it all came together, but it did. So the other thing that, you know, now keto and checking his blood 4 times a day, it's real obvious what carbs are due to his particular blood sugar level. So he's committed now. He has been eating keto for the last 2 years. He'd go off every once in a while, but not for very long because he felt better with it. And now there's a serious medical reason for him to use it too. Our doctor recommended that he continue that kind of clean eating, but that he add in a few more good carbs, berries and some things like that. And that he reduced the fat and not have quite the fat level of fat that keto has for an everyday thing. This we're not going to do that with, but that was her recommendation. She was quite comfortable with him staying on the keto diet. So this is sugar-free sweet relish. I'm using about a teaspoonful of it. I had about a half a teaspoon of the ketchup. My ketchup's really thick. If yours is a little bit runny, a teaspoonful will do it. Just, you know, what works for you. All right, there we go. There's our little bit of sauce. Maybe I'll add a little bit more ketchup. It's not quite as pink as I might like it for it to be. Okay, so there's all total a teaspoon of ketchup. There we go. That's much better. All right, there we go. Now then, I'm going to set that aside, put away my things, and then we're going to go make our chaffle. I'll be right back. All right, now we're ready to make our chaffles. Now I make them just like everybody else does. I don't know who first invented them, but they're a wonderful, wonderful thing. There we go. 1 egg. Wash the egg off my hands. Now, when I make this, I just use the 2 chaffles. We made it one time, the triple decker, and Paul said, no, just skip the middle piece of bread. But he does like having 2 patties, so I will make two patties to cook. And 1/4 cup plus a little of shredded mozzarella cheese. And if you're real picky about the carbs, this has got, you know, since this is bought already shredded, it's got a little dab of potato starch in it to keep it from sticking together. And so it's got a little gram of carbs in there. So if you're really picky about that, you can grate your own. But and together, that egg almost equals 1/4 cup too. And so together you use 1/4 cup of this mixture to make a chaffle with. That's how you divide it up. You can add a little dab of salt if you want to. The cheese is plenty salty, and so I don't put any salt in them. Our little chaffle maker. The funny thing about this little chaffle maker, and this is how attuned to each other that Paul and I are, the night that I heard about these, I read about them on a blog that I read, and believe it or not a cooking blog either, but I read about them in an off-topic thread, and I went immediately over to Amazon, and I picked out a white one, and I put it in our cart. And we don't have Prime, so we wait until we get the $35 worth, you know, to have free shipping. And so that morning when Paul got up, he said, by the way, I put something in our Amazon cart. I put this little miniature waffle maker. And he had read somewhere else completely independently about it. So I looked over there. We had 2 white chaffle makers in our Amazon cart. So it was like, boy, we really do think alike. 2 shall become 1 indeed. Huh, baby? Paul's doing pretty good. He got a good report he saw his doctor yesterday and got a good report. And his therapist yesterday he was actually able to stand up for 4 minutes. And then today, when his physical therapist came, he was able to stand again right in front of his chair. We helped him get up to stand, but then supported by his walker, he was able to stand for 5 minutes 2 different times. So he's gaining some strength, and he's getting his strength back in his arms. These were affected by this stroke. His first stroke was 10 years ago, and it was completely disabling, but he could still walk and things after that one. And then his illness 6 years ago, he never completely recovered from that, and so that's where he's had to use the wheelchair and the walker since. And so this stroke affected his arm strength much more than the previous illnesses did. And so that's something so he's got occupational therapy this time, which he didn't have to have before he just had to have physical therapy, but this time he's got occupational therapy. And so amazingly enough, when the therapist came to the door, it turned out she's our pastor's wife, and so we were so both also pleased to be able to see her and have her be able to work with Paul. And so he's really regaining some strength in his arms. That when he went to sit down today, he was able to hold the arms of the chair and let himself down slowly, which he had not been able to do before. So he's really making some headway, and we're just pleased as can be. You can cook these chaffles for the length of time that you feel is appropriate. For a sandwich, Paul prefers that we cook it quite a bit longer than we would if we were going to make like a waffle type that he'll have sugar-free syrup with. So I'll let this cook until the top is pretty brown looking, and I'll be back and show y'all then. Okay, now I've cooked the second chaffle. Each of these has taken a full 4 minutes to cook, and see how nice and brown it is on the other side. It's kind of crispy too. And then I'm resting them on a clean napkin so that they won't get, the steam won't soften them while I'm cooking them. Now the next thing I'm doing is I'm making the patties. I'm going to make 2 patties. There's a total of 4 ounces of beef, so each patty is 2 ounces of beef. If you want to put a little garlic, salt, or a little seasoning, feel free. I'll sprinkle these with a little dab, but not too much, because a Big Mac, normally we use Montreal steak seasoning on our burgers, but for a Big Mac we don't want to change the flavor too much. So my handle broke on my little on my little thing. This works really good though to get the patty super thin. And I'm warming up my skillet because I want it to be hot when I put them on there. Okay, all right, let me move my camera and I'll be right back. Okay, my skillet's heating. I put a little olive oil. There we go. Hot pan, cold oil, food won't stick. Says Mr. Yan. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. Now then. Normally I'd put those papers in the freezer in a little bag of meat trash that I keep in the freezer until trash day, but tomorrow's trash day, so I'll be throwing out the trash in a little while. So, alright, now I'm just going to fry these up, and then I'll be back when I go to put it all together. You can see. Time to put it together. I've got the cheese melting on the patties, one on each patty. And now I'm going to put the sauce on each chaffle. There we go. Alright, now then, let's put our patties on. One, and the second one. When I turned the patties, they're so thin that I went ahead and put the cheese on right then and let it just sit there and melt onto them. Okay, now then, I went ahead and chopped the onion to make it a little easier to handle. Just a little dab. This is kind of a hot onion, so just a little small dab. And shredded lettuce. Paul likes wilty lettuce, so I just shredded up the wilty part for him. And there is the chaffle. And let me cut it in half. Got stuff on my hands. Bread knife, okay. Cut it in half so you can see how pretty it looks. Just didn't cut through all the way. There we go. Get those crumbs off of there. I'm no chef, but we can make the plate look decent for Paul. And there we go. Look how pretty that is. And there we go. You see how pretty it looks? Just like a burger, except it just got the chaffle on there. Let me bring it up. There we go. All right. Thanks a bunch. Hope y'all are having a great new year so far. Bye.